Triumph's Tiger 1200 Rally Pro version here. Launched in 22, it was a real update over the previous 1200 Explorer. Noticeably lighter, more agile, and the introduction of that fabulous T-plane crank in the 1200cc engine. That is an absolute stonking engine. So we're now 2024. We are at the time for its mid-cycle update, and Triumph have done some tweaks. Not major tweaks, minor tweaks, and I think they've been pretty smart about those tweaks. But you know, 2 years is a long time in motorcycle world. Since that time, BMW have introduced their all-new GS 1300. Ducati have given us the Multistrada Rally, which I've tested around here as well. So it was really time for us to get out there and see on a long distance, all surfaces, all types of riding, if the little tweaks have sort of brought it back to in line with the rest of the pack. And is this still one of the best all-rounders out there on all surfaces? So yeah, I really put it to the test over a couple of days. But before we dive into that, let's have a very quick look at some of the key stats. 150 horsepower, 130 newton meters of torque. Suspension travel of 220 millimeter each end. Seat height can range between 875 to 895 millimeters. It is bang on 250 kilos, has a 20 litre tank, which will get you well past 350 kilometers. And so the main updates for 24, most of the really important ones are in here. So more inertia in the bottom end, a smoother, stronger bottom end, stronger to my sort of buttometer anyway. It does better wheelies, which is always going to make me happy. That's the main change. Different seat shape, it's a flatter seat shape. To be honest, I didn't have any issues with the comfort in the old one. No issues with this one at all. Slightly different lever design. The GT version has some different peg height positioning, but not on the Rally Pro. And this also now has a preload adjustment button that will lower the bike up to 20 millimeters when you press and hold this little button over here on the right hand side. We started here down near Anglesey in the coast of Victoria. From here, left very early in the morning, made our way along the Great Ocean Road, one of the world's great driving and riding roads, towards Lorne, where we stopped for breakfast. A fabulous piece of road. There was a cracking morning, just absolutely stunning morning. And that's always a nice piece of road. Not many people around at that particular time of day. It was pretty early in the morning, as I said. So beautiful way to start the day.
How good is this? I feel sorry for everyone that's going to work. I think breakfast done. Coffee and croissant. With the boys over there, they've had a good morning. Time to go inland for a bit. See you later, ocean.
Part of the sort of brief that I gave myself for this ride was I wanted to take in the ocean via coast roads, the forest, the hinterland mountains, the desert, we'll get to that, and then back to the mighty Murray. So it was going to be a pretty big journey. And along the way I wanted to do tarmac, I wanted to do gravel, mud, clay, sand, and if I could a bit of wet stuff as well, which I did on the return journey the following day. And on those twisty, nice flowing roads, it is surprising just how good these big bikes can be.
Say what you will about full-size adventure bikes being big and heavy, and they are, but once you get on them, oh, that engine, once you get on them and you get rolling, this is a glorious place to be right now. Like, I would, super comfortable. I'm not stressed. It's got a pace, like most bikes. I feel that most bikes have a pace, and you've just got to find the pace for that bike. Now obviously each ride is going to be different, but some bikes you want to jump on and they make you want to go mental because they respond well to that sort of riding. and other bikes to jump on, and it's more rewarding to sort of, you know, be nice and smooth and just roll along with it, you know. I'm not saying necessarily going slow, but especially, you know, we're still relatively early in the morning. I'll look down at the clock on the dash, 7:45 in the morning, so there's still going to be some skippies around.
So we've gone inland to from Lorne up over the mountains and taken a bit of a detour down some gravel roads. Had a bit of a play around in there and had some fun. Really nicely balanced, both on tarmac and off-road.
So, off-road mode. Let's do a thing there. I'm going to put in just off-road, not off-road pro. Let's get a bit dirty. We'll go up here for a bit, and then we'll turn right. If I remember rightly, there's a bit of a shortcut. Yeah, there's a bit of slip going on there in that muddy stuff. So the thing I like about the electronic suspension, for those unaware, is that I've just changed my suspension settings. So flicking over into off-road mode, not only has it changed the map, God, that engine's good. Not only has it changed the engine map, but and the traction control and the ABS settings, but it's also changed the suspension settings. So, you know, you've got the luxury of being able to really find a setting for each. There's a skippy, a setting or two. There's always more than one. You've got the luxury of being able to find a suspension setting or two or three in each of your modes that's going to suit the way you ride. So, you know, you can have a setting, make that dash warning go away. You can have a setting set up for yourself in off-road with a little bit of traction control, and maybe, you know, maybe that's your softest setup. Is that the road I want to go down? I don't know. And then maybe you might want to have a slightly firmer setup for when you want to lay the ears back a bit in off-road pro mode that turns traction control off. So if you want to go out and start layer rising and tearing it up and doing skids, you know, you might have a preferred setting there. So, and each of those is individually customizable. You can dive into your suspension settings and firm things up as you wish. So there might be some trees down through here too, so we just need to take it a little bit steady. Maybe turn my indicator off. How good is this? And there's people still in bed. And that's the other side. That's the other side of the Otways. I just stopped for a couple of minutes in Birregurra and paired up my phone to the Tiger. Thought I'd test out the turn-by-turn nav. So yeah, there we go. You can see the nav coming up on the right there, counting down the distance to the turn. Looks good. Tells you what the road is. Looks nice. I wonder if I hit that, is that going to take me in there even more? Oh, that's nice. Nice view. Excellent. I might leave it at that for a while. There's something to be said about just long days in the saddle, just settling in, enjoying the scenery, just you and the bike. Yeah, this is my happy place for sure, right here.
I think one of the things that really continues to surprise me is, you know, the comfort level of this bike on longer stretches.
We're probably half an hour away from Great Western now, absolutely eating the miles up. Back then when I had the camera turned off, just let the numbers climb up a little bit. Man, this thing just barely hauls. It's so comfortable. Let's just do a quick check. How many Ks have we done thus far? I keep nudging that indicator when I go to do that with these fat gloves. So we're 250 Ks down. That isn't. Well, it's more than a quarter, less than a third of the way there for the day. Depending on how we feel this afternoon. I'm not super keen on coming in at night time because there will be a lot of kangaroos up there, but we'll see how we feel. I'm just on the dash there. You can see now how I can adjust the settings for the rider aids on the fly. I can adjust the map, I can adjust the traction control, I can adjust the suspension, and it is super comfortable. I've got it in normal. It's not wallowing around too much at this pace. Certainly when in sport mode and in off-road mode, I prefer it dialed right up to its firmest. But no, in road mode, this is super comfy. So I'm pretty happy. The country's starting to change again now, as you can see. Coming into Great Western and then beyond Great Western, you duck across to the Grampians. So we're you know, there are some mountains around. Beautiful country up here. Great Western. Time to buy a bottle of wine. Vineyard, grapes, Salador, awesome Tiger 1200. Good spot to stretch the legs. Man, this is a mile eater so far, doing really well. Slight costume change, nice. It's starting to get warm now, 20 degrees. So the heated gloves have gone in the backpack. Nice, thin, my favourite gloves. These are the TFX2 from 5. Beautiful, love them. Nice and thin, great feel. So, successful purchase of a bottle of wine for tonight. Up here at Best's. Apparently this vineyard has been owned by the same family, the Thompson family, for 5 generations. One of the few still privately, independently owned vineyards in the region. So they get my money today. But let's get going again, shall we? So once we got over the hills, it's a fairly long haul from, you know, the Birregurra, which is on the inland side of the Otway Ranges, right up through to Great Western, and then I headed across to the Grampians. I wanted to check out some 4-wheel drive trails up in there. And yeah, we got to some pretty gnarly stuff. About as gnarly as I wanted to get to on a big bike, or I would want to get to. Certainly about as gnarly as I would want to get to by myself. Oh, we're now up in the mountains. Up in the mountains. Bit of a sandy track. In amongst the trees. This is pretty good here. You can feel that traction control kicking in though. I'm going to just pull over here. No one's behind me. This is what's a bit annoying. So, mode. I can go down to Off-Road Pro. Giggity goo. And now, go back to there, ABS disabled, yes. Preload adjustment. Yes, so we're definitely in off-road pro mode now. The big triple is singing. Man, it loves the rev. At mid-range though, just glorious. So I have no idea what's up here. Oh, a bit exciting. What have we got here? They're always got to be a bit cautious through them because you're never sure what sort of rocks are under there. That one looked pretty clear, but great little track so far. We really have had some rain. I don't know how grippy that clay stuff is. This is getting probably about as serious as I wanted it to. Wow, look at that view. Look at that view. Holy moly. Are we still running? Yes, great. Look at that. You can look at that. I'm busy looking at the track. Wow. Hey. We've got a bit of everything in this one. There's a bit of sand here, rocks. I'm kind of hoping I don't have to go back up that hill, to be honest. Another one. Yeah, let's go there. Very cautious through there. There was lots of little rocks and I wasn't sure how far off the beaten track I was actually getting, so I really didn't want to puncture in there. But knowing I'm back on an actual road, not just a four-wheel drive track, I'm a little bit more confident again. Yeah, it's got some grip, this thing. I mean, that surface is pretty good, but... So we had some creek crossings, I wasn't expecting those, that's cool. Bit of sand in there. Yeah, good test. Good little test. Hear that triple sing. It really is bloody picturesque up here.
And then we were back doing a long haul again, all the way up to Little Desert.
I wonder if that's a photo opportunity right there. What an extraordinary day. Absolutely perfect. We've had a costume change. Taken the jumper off, opened up the vents on the back of the jacket. She was getting a bit warm. Good now though. We're making pretty good time. We're about half an hour away from the Little Desert, but I don't know if it's going to look much like a desert, because look how green it is here. So we're on the Little Desert side of Horsham. Man, I've never seen it this green up here. I don't normally come through this time of year, but it looks fantastic right now. So anyway, we're heading to a desert that might not look like a desert today, but that's okay.
We got to Little Desert probably a little bit later than I had planned, because I wanted to have a bit of a play around in the sand, but we sort of spent a bit too much time in those four-wheel drive tracks in the Grampians.
That's what we're looking for. Here we are. From the ocean to the desert. And we've still got about 3 hours to go before we get to where we want to go. But okay, I want to get in there. There we go. Stringy bark track. Fucking hell, that looks sandy. Oh, I'm not going in there. that is not me. I chickened out of the sand. Oh, this bit's not bad. Anyway, this bit's pretty great right now. Not too sandy at all. So, given that we've still got about 3 hours to go, I am going to turn around at the next junction and we'll head to Echuca, hey? Tracking pretty well across this stuff. This is sort of hero stuff. A little bit of slide there, but nothing really. What's going on here? Here's our turnaround point. Little Larry lockup. You could have fun up here, I reckon. Alright, well, we don't have time to get stuck in here for too long. Dude, was that a lizard? I think it was. A little water dragon? Dude, get off the road! I don't know where he went to. Bloody nearly had him, no?
We went down some other roads down in the Little Desert and had a bit of a play in not massively deep sand, but enough in there. And it was probably through some of those tracks that I really sort of started to notice the extent, or I guess the limitations of the suspension of this bike, in the sense of it is definitely an all-rounder that is skewed towards comfort. So in the Off-Road Pro setting that I had in most of the ride, Off-Road Pro, you can disable the traction control, and the ABS is deactivated on the rear, so you can steer the bike with the rear brake. So I had that wound all the way up to Sport, which is the firmest it can go via the electronic Öhlins. I think I would probably just like, as I said, a little bit more progressiveness towards the bottom end of the stroke in the forks, and a slightly stiffer spring for the type of riding that I do. And that's not going to be for everybody. And I think, you know, when your manufacturers like Triumph and everybody else try and spec their bikes for the average rider, that's what they're doing. They're speccing it for the average rider, not for the extreme. So I think for most riders, this is going to be specced pretty much bang on. So after we did the desert, then we headed east for another 3-hour on the road haul to get us through to Echuca, past Echuca actually, to where the Goulburn River meets the Murray, the junction there. And that was where I was camping for the night with some mates. All in all, the journey was 821 k's door to door. Did it no problem, about 10 hours saddle time, and honestly could have kept riding for another 5 hours if it wasn't for daylight. Comfort was not a problem at all. I got in there just on darkness, so it wasn't much point shooting the GoPro footage. I had hoped to get there before darkness, but that wasn't the case. So it's the next morning now. We got into camp last night just on dark at 7. Camp is literally only a few hundred meters back behind me. And that is the mighty Murray River. And if I go a little bit further around to my left, you'll see that we are just up from the junction. Here we are. Beautiful. Fuel efficiency wise, we got about 5 and a bit litres per 100 k's. So range is not going to be an issue for you. 350 odd kilometres to a tank, not a problem there at all. Obviously there is the Explorer version which comes with a 30 litre tank if you want to go further. That will get you a range of about 500 k's versus the 350 plus for this one. So you've got a couple of options there. All the switch gear is perfect as per, you know, normal Tiger 1200 and 900. It's very familiar looking stuff, works quite well. I do like their interface and the dash system. It's nice and easy to use. When you flick it on, you got the option to pretty quickly return back to the mode you're in. It doesn't stay in the mode you're in, but you can get it back in there. One annoying thing though is that, yeah, when you do want to switch out of a road mode into the off-road pro mode, where traction control is turned off, you need to come to a standstill to do that. So, yeah, that's a safety thing from Triumph's point of view. From my point of view, it's kind of a bit annoying every time I've got to do it, which means that often I will just leave it in off-road pro all the time. So is that a better safety outcome rather than having the ability to switch back into road and rain modes if they're there? Maybe, maybe not. Probably the one thing in particular that I would really like on this bike would be adjustable traction control. And again, that's for the type of riding that I do. At the moment, as I said, you have off-road pro mode, which deactivates traction control. I would still like a little bit of traction control, but not as much as the off-road mode. So in an ideal world, I would probably have 3 or 4 settings in between the two, and I could dial up and down on the fly. And again, in an ideal world, I want to be able to do that without stopping. We love the Tiger 1200 Rally Pro. It would be my pick out of the Tiger 1200s, by the way. I would absolutely have the Rally Pro versus the GT. Even though it doesn't steer quite as sharply with that 21-inch front wheel, it still steers really surprisingly well on the road. And then you get the benefit of having much greater capability in situations, you know, like this, off-road, in the mud, in the clay. Yeah, all in all, cracking bike, cracking ride. Would there have been a better bike to do that trip on for that day? I'm not sure I would have preferred to be on anything else for that particular day in terms of full size bikes. Not at this budget. This is still my pick. This is still my pick of the lot in terms of the blend of all-around capabilities. As I said before, yep, there'd be some tweaks that I would do for my bike if I bought it. But I think this one's still the pick. This one's still up there and massively, massively underrated by most people. So we might leave it there. As always, get out there, have fun and enjoy. And how good are motorbikes? Alrighty, return trip is starting. It's going to be a wet one today, so I'm trying to time it with the rain.